Okay, we call the meeting to order. Let's stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so for approval of the agenda for January 6th, Ben, do you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I would like to make a motion to hear a dispute from Miles Kieft about, it's about a semi-trailer, and we have a court date to settle this coming up quick on the 13th, and I just wanted to hear from him before any of that happens.
So you're asking to amend the agenda?
Yeah, my motion is to add an agenda item.
Trying to give that a number so I know.
Yeah, it would be under new business letter F.
I second that.
Okay.
All right, let's take a roll call vote.
Rhonda?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Is there public comment about agenda items? Anything that you see on the agenda that you would like to make a comment about?
This includes the new agenda item.
Evening, Miles Kieft. I own the Wet Wolf Car Wash across the street. I also have a personal residence over in Leakton and Brooks. I was issued a citation for a semi-trailer parked in my rear yard. As far as I'm aware, there's nothing restricting semi-trailers. In fact, it should be a vehicle from what I've read. We don't have an ordinance against semis in general or commercial vehicles for that matter. Unfortunately, the enforcement continues from our enforcement officer, and it appears there's no recourse to cancel the court date on the 13th. Just looking for some input as to what we can do with that. It seems odd to me that our enforcement official would just be able to take our attorney to court and spend taxpayer money on something we don't have an ordinance against.
Miles,
Yeah.
could you explain a little bit to the rest of the board about your yard and, because he did come to the board and talk to Trudy and I guess not the board, but about his yard and our ordinances and how it's written, because we have something about rear yard and side yard and it's a little ambiguous. So can you just tell us a little bit about your yard?
Yeah, so basically we've got a really deep but skinnier lot. And currently it was off to the side of the house. We're getting it pushed back into the rear yard, which I think would actually conceal it really well. We're a very wooded lot with our house taking up a tiny portion of it. We're not on a regular visible. We don't have neighbors whose windows we can see in. We're pretty removed, and it appears that Jeff was just driving by, saw it, and thought, well, we're not going to do that. So it's our lot's very heavily wooded. If we can push it into the back, we're willing to cover it up and keep it camouflaged, but it's otherwise I have to move a personal vehicle over to the car wash, and I don't think that'll give us the best sight as opposed to keeping it in the woods at our house.
Thank you, Miles.
Thank you.
Do we want any comments? Or?
Well, we can talk more about it when we get to F. Or sorry, 6F.
6.
Yeah.
Okay. Approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Support.
I noticed that my board comment for the last meeting is still not in there.
You supported that one.
From which meeting? The 16th?
That 2 meetings ago or 21st?
I changed it. It most certainly is. I listened to the tape and I put it in there verbatim.
16th.
What number was that under?
Number 14, I made a comment. I don't have a board comment there. 1 fish, 2 fish, I talked about.
It's on there, 1 fish, 2 fish.
Yeah, that one is, but the other comment I made is not.
What was the other comment?
The public comment stated that the request to make copies of the treasurer's report available to the public at the meetings. And I stated I have given people that asked for it a copy of the treasurer's report. And at the meeting, I stated if anyone else wanted one, I had them. No one else asked for one. So I have been giving copies of the treasurer's report to anyone that wanted it. This isn't the first time that I've been accused of this, and I would like my side of the story for the record in the minutes.
Would you like to amend yours?
I'll listen to the tape and correct it.
Yes. I'll amend to have that added to the, what you call it?
Okay,
Support.
alright, can we do all in favor for this one?
Mhm.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Old business, Pine Ridge Park construction, so there was the, pavilion at, Sunset Beach and it had to be moved, but there was a lot of rules about that. There was drawings and, bids went out, construction drawings and stuff were all looked at, and then, a mistake was found. So, I sent the change over to the contractor. And then in here, there's just an amendment. So his bid was much less than any competing bids. The next closest one was for 70,000. So I did talk with our township attorney just to make sure that we could do this. We just need to approve that we want to do this. We don't have to sign this, but the amendments in there for you to review to pay him an extra $1,800 for the changed construction of that. I believe it's the concrete slab and also like the trusses or something changed. But just to pay him the $1,800 extra, that's over my spending limit.
Motion, so what is it, so moved, or are you making the motion?
Can I make a motion?
It's better if you do. She's supposed to be the tiebreaker if possible.
I make a motion to accept the amendment to the contract service agreement.
I second that.
Can you put the amount in, please?
For an additional $1,800.
Okay, roll call vote.
Trudy.
Yes.
Peggy.
Yes.
Ben.
Yes.
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 Can I comment on that, please?
Sure.
I would like to ensure that we have a signed contract and that we are added as additional insured.
That would be a new amendment, or new motion, right?
I don't know what the contract had before, I just want to ensure that that's in there.
Yeah, just
That's what we've been doing for almost everything we paid for, vendors.
Yeah, she's just making sure it's gonna be done.
I can check on that. I had nothing to do with this except for after the change, it was just dumped on my desk.
Maybe we need to.
Hopefully that was done by the previous board and John, but we'll see. I'll check.
Could we have a motion just to cover our butts for that? Like, cause it could cost extra money.
The
For an
contract
additional
actually
entry.
reads, so the contract actually reads that, we could change, and if it's a reasonable amount, that he would still perform the work. But I don't feel that that's fair because we provided wrong information and wrong drawings.
Oh.
And it's kind of a lot of money, and it wasn't signed, so I didn't have a signed copy. So that's why I brought you guys the amendment.
Yeah,
Are
we
you
did
gonna
not-
sign the amended?
The board approved his quote, but we never had contract with him. We never
So,
signed a contract.
We'll sign, he's willing to come in and we'll sign this.
Okay.
But I had to bring it to the board first.
Cool, awesome.
Can I ask Herb a question about contracts? We've had this contractor before in the past.
Mhm.
They worked on the caretaker house windows.
Yeah.
We were added as additional insured.
I would have to
Pretty sure.
imagine so, yeah.
Yeah.
They did really good work, good guys. They're from Eggleston too.
Yep. Just want to make sure we have that because our next agenda item, we don't have a signed contract.
Does that bid include the concrete to the parking lot?
Yeah, I have it in a file now,
Oh,
if
you
you
do?
wanna look
Okay.
at it and just make sure before we sign it.
Yeah. I would like to.
Thank you.
I wish we could see it and approve it again. We don't even know what it is now. It's changed. I mean, it's more money, but things like that, it would be nice to see what we approved.
I'm assuming it had to be on the same measurements as the Sunset Beach Pavilion to go
Yeah.
with the grant.
I mean, it was like, there was slight changes. The attorney said it wasn't enough that we would need a new contract. But it's enough where it changed by $1,800 for him, so.
Some of the items in the drawing were not up to code. There were other issues too.
From the old drawings that were done for Pine Ridge.
New drawings that our previous
sorry, for
supervisors
Sunset.
sent out with RFPs.
I believe those were corrected by Jeff Rain.
Okay.
Trudy's actually the one I think that gave it to me, so.
Yep. That's true.
I don't know, I think it's hard for, I mean, we can't go back and approve everything that the old board did, we kinda just have to move forward with some things, so. Cause our southwest window water damage, we invoiced the, $2,061.46 to Patron, for that treasurer office, so just so you guys know, that was billed out, I never noticed the smell, looks beautiful, they did a great job, and so did the DPW workers that were in there.
Like I said, I just hope they are willing to pay that because we don't have a signed agreement with them. We don't have a contract with them. We had a bid and approved in the packet, the board packet, when we approved them to be the contractor, but we don't have a signed contract. That's why I'm making a big deal out of what is the contract we're looking at and what are we agreeing to? I mean, the cleaning lady was read to us and there's no end date for applications. I mean, I wish I could have looked at that and say, hey, this is missing that. I would just like to see these contracts that we're approving, especially if changes are made.
Have they responded? Adrian?
I don't do accounts receivable. Actually, I believe that would be Trudy that was taking payments last week. Did you get a check in the mail?
Nope.
Okay. It just went out like,
It's only been out a week.
Yeah.
You're not gonna see it turn around like that.
Well, if they have received it and have a question or contacted us, then.
oh, they've been in
here.
communication with her,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Here.
They
Yeah.
met with Joan, Trudy, and I in the office. It was one of their head foremans. He was gonna explain it to the boss. And when we had all of the money and we got it all, somebody submitted that to Patron. Was that?
I think I mailed the final
Oh, okay.
invoice out, so that's why I put it on the agenda to let them know. And then I have a note to check with Mandy, but she
Okay.
was busy last week and it was the holidays, so I don't think we received it yet, but I mean, it's literally been less than 2 weeks and we had 4 holidays in there, so. Alright. Custodian search, we got a ton of resumes through Indeed, and then a few in person. I came down today. I actually have 4 more for you that were turned in today, Herb. So I didn't get a chance to review them. I just grabbed them as I walked in. We should, did you get a chance to look through any?
The manila envelope you left me, I had a chance to look through it and I saw what you guys had looked at and just kind of read what you guys had all went with and kind of looked at your decisions and I spent, a solid hour looking at it and I put it back in your,
Okay, I saw the envelope. Do you have any, do you want us to narrow it down? Do you want to narrow it down?
yeah, I think you guys are doing a great job on this. You might as well just keep going for it.
Okay, So, if someone would like to make a motion for a hiring committee, or we have to have a special meeting,
What do our policies and procedures state?
well, as you know, our policies and procedures are extremely outdated and none of them match. So,
They're still been approved by the board.
which policy would you like to go by?
Well, I thought I read one that said supervisor and DPW supervisor can narrow them down. Make a recommendation to the board. I don't know if we can make a motion to change that. I don't know.
I don't want to read 89 resumes. That's a lot. I don't have anything to do with the cleaning person, so I'm the personnel director, but
It's what our policy states.
I haven't seen that policy. I mean, I don't see why I would have to read all these resumes by myself, make a decision, bring it to you for you to say you don't like it.
How do you know I'm not gonna like it?
Because we tried doing this the other day and everything you argued with.
What are you talking about? Resumes for the cleaning lady?
Yeah.
What did I argue about?
That we couldn't say yes or no.
Because I read you the policy. It didn't say that board members can come in with a supervisor. It said the supervisor and the DPW department head.
Couldn't the supervisor ask a few of us, or 2 or 3 or whatever, and maybe some of Herb's people to have a meeting to go through them? Is that what the procedure is to do?
That's not what our policies and procedures states.
Okay.
But I don't know if the board can make a motion to change that.
Who did the hiring prior?
The
Oh,
board.
the cleaning
Of
lady?
the cleaning lady.
Oh, boy.
No, that's a
Long
lot
time.
of years to go.
24 years ago, I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember either. Well, let's find out what the procedure is and follow
The
that
policies and
procedure.
procedures are different no matter, like, it depends what office you go in. You can't find a clear-cut answer.
Okay.
So that's the challenge that I'm having.
That's very true.
Yeah.
So this begs the question, should we update that procedure?
Mhm.
We should. We should have an organizational meeting and we should go through the entire book of policies and procedures. We're going to have to go based off of what is in our clerk's office, since she is the record keeper for the township and she has the records, and everything else should be shredded. And then we won't have to fight over every single thing every single day. It's really exhausting. I would just like to get someone hired as soon as possible. So if you guys would like me to go through them, I will skim them and I will have a reduced list to Herb, and then he can sit with me and we can pick one. Or if you guys want your hands in the pot, then you need to say so now. We have to figure this out tonight. But if I whittle it down, I'm not going to be able to be questioned and say, well, why did this person get through, or why did you choose them? If you're saying it's up to me and I have that authority, I'm going to take that authority and do it. So let's choose tonight.
I'm not saying it's up to you. The policies and procedures state that. I'm not trying to fight with you. We have policies and procedures and we don't follow them, and at some point we're going to get ourselves in trouble. Like not having signed contracts. We're at risk. We're at a liability.
This is not that issue though, so we can just stay on the topic.
No. But I'm saying we need to start following our policies and procedures or change them.
That would come with an organizational meeting.
Yeah, we haven't had a chance to have one. We've got hit with a fire chief that resigned abruptly.
So
When did you get elected, Trudy?
2020.
Okay. And it's 2025, so you waited 5 years to care about this? I mean,
This is the first time that it was trying to be done like this.
what's your recommendation?
I recommend that we follow our policies and procedures. We sort of like pick and choose which ones we want to apply to different people. They're there for a reason. I don't know if it's okay for the board to make a motion to do it differently.
It's the board's policies and procedures. We started going through that book because the last board agreed that it was atrocious and it never went anywhere. We need to decide if we want to review the hiring. This board has always retained hiring and firing authority as a whole. recommendations come to the board. But, we need to decide if we want to review that hiring policy and amend it, or go strictly by the policy. And I don't remember a policy saying that the supervisor and the DPW does hiring for.
Because Dawn worked here for 25 years.
Well, I've been here that long. I've been here longer than her.
Well, that's why it hasn't been done, but you just hired Heather. How did that happen? Who hired her?
The
I
board.
mean, I was trying to follow what the board did. I was trying to do what was done before.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to skirt my duties. If you would like me to do it, I'll do it.
The whole board reviewed the applications, we narrowed it down, and we all interviewed them, the applicants together, and then we voted on the final candidate.
That's because there was no department head.
Well, John would have been the department head. He also could have done this because Dawn's resignation has been in for months and months and months. It was tabled for us to pick up, so. Does anyone else have an opinion?
I would not like to read through that many resumes either.
How many of them are there, good approximate?
At least 89, at least.
Oh, my. Yeah.
About 6 in person.
What if we had a workshop?
Yeah, somebody's gotta go through it, so.
What if we had a workshop and shared in the.
Well, I'm just gonna say this, most everybody on this board works. I am retired. I'd be more than happy to do this. If you would want somebody to, I mean, I've got all day, you know, I'd be happy to, give my services to do this.
I think that would be lovely.
Awesome.
I will clarify, I did weed out some that had no experience because our posting asked for experience. But I believe there are still 30, Herb? 20, 30 in there?
In the envelope you gave
Yeah.
me? Yeah, I would have to say, just to throw my 2 cents in, when I hired in the DPW the last time, this was 8, 9 years ago, I took in all the applications. I decided to call in interviews, and the board said to bring 5 candidates that they could choose from. So I weeded everything out because I had to have close proximity to who was going to work in the DPW. Went through the whole list. I found 4 candidates that I felt the board should see that were worthy of being used or being hired. They came in and individually, the board asked them questions. They made a decision that night. When it comes to the housekeeper, it is an anomaly. I mean, she has been here 25 years, and she does do a lot right here in the township with the board, with the girls. I mean, I'm willing to help whatever you need, but I've been kind of just letting this happen because I don't want to be the culprit of this. I just want y'all to figure it out, and I will definitely help any way, shape, or form. You know that. But yeah, to weed through 89 resumes and 3/4 of them don't even qualify, that would be tiresome. But I will help any way you want, anyway, and thank you, Peggy, for stepping up too.
And so if we whittled it down and somebody chose for us, this board, to interview, would you be included in the interview process?
Well, I would have, speaking of what I did before, I went through probably 30 or 40 people that came in and interviewed. I took the 4 top, the cream of the crop, brought that to the board because that was what I was asked to do. So I picked the 4 that I felt could be, productive in that position, and they had their chance to ask questions. And after that, I believe I sat in here on the board and they asked me a couple questions, and we made a decision that night.
Would you be willing to do that with Peggy down
Of
Yep,
course.
in the winter months, I can make it happen.
there? Awesome.
And how many would you like it to be whittled down to? The best 5, best 10?
Yeah, why don't you do 6?
Okay, best 6. So I will need, if everybody approves of that, I will need those resumes. I don't have.
Yeah. I have them
How
in my
many is it whittled down to so far?
desk.
Did you say 30?
I didn't look through the ones that just came in, but there were about 25 probably. So now I'm thinking 30 if they're all like have cleaning experience.
So I'd like to make a motion to create a hiring committee with Trustee Peggy, and the head of our DPW, Herb.
I second that.
Let's get it going.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Yay. Fire chief search. You were provided 4 resumes on December 21st. You were given some more in your mailbox, and then I just gave you another stack. So these are not whittled down or anything. Some came from Indeed, and then some were in person. These I do think that we should have a workshop and go over and talk about who we want to interview.
Now that we have just gotten 4 more, I'm gonna need more time to
Right.
go over these 4 more, but that's something that we need to
Yeah.
get going too, on that.
I would encourage everyone if you could read them before we had the workshop so you're familiar,
Okay.
and be ready with maybe some sticky notes of your thoughts that you could share, questions you might have. And then you were all given that list. Did everyone see their list of questions from the My Chiefs Association?
Yes.
And Trudy had mentioned one of them asks like something about what you would do at Egelston. Obviously, if they haven't worked here or don't work here, that question would be tweaked to their location, or just not asked, or ask a supplement question. If you have different questions you want to ask, bring it to the workshop and we can talk about it there. This was just like their suggestions and then kind of some tips what they would be looking to hear, because since we're not firefighters, some of us might not know, might ask a question and have no idea what a good answer would look like. So he provided us with what a good answer would look like from their opinion as a panel of chiefs.
Sweet.
Has the 2 weeks of putting it out there
Yes,
finished? It is
ended
done.
today.
So this is the last 4 of the applications?
Yes,
So there will be no more.
No
This
more.
is what we're gonna go through.
closed.
So I believe we should set up a workshop
Okay,
as soon as possible.
so we need 18 hours? That's all? Okay.
Give us a little more than that if we have to read all dates and.
I will.
Next Monday would be good for me.
I'm okay with that
You
date.
do next Monday?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make it work whenever.
All right, what time can you be here?
6, 7,
Let's do 6. It might take a while.
Louder.
So what's that date?
6, 13?
The 13th?
Yes.
Okay.
I can
At
see.
6?
Yeah. All right. The next thing is the social media policy. I found this with the help of someone in the community. So we actually do have a policy. It was not in my policy and procedure book. So didn't know about it when Ben so graciously came in and made all these accounts on for our township. So we need to modify our policy, I guess, so that it fits.
Is there a certain part that?
Or we just need to
modify?
approve, maybe we just need to approve our accounts. Because it says that it allows the township, when appropriate, to further the goals and missions of the township. However, the township has an overriding interest and expectations in deciding what is spoken. So it's limited to employees, board of trustees, planning commission members, ZBA, and other individuals employed by the township. So right now we have X, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, all created,
And Instagram.
and Instagram. And Cassidy does the website, so she was going to handle that.
So any update that would go to the website would also go to the social media channels.
But we don't want to have, I don't know, this. I don't think we're supposed to have our like personal names, so we shouldn't have anything, and we can't state that we're an employee from what I read in here. We're not supposed to state that we're employees or that we work here. So we just have to clean up some of our accounts and make sure that they're all following this policy. And when Cassidy posts, it will be as the Egelston Township Board, not Cassidy.
Okay.
And I think that you turned off
She had-
commenting.
Yeah. Or no, I didn't. No, I didn't turn off commenting. That would be something, a setting we'd have to,
Or posting.
yeah.
People can post.
That one, yeah, for Facebook. Yeah, that one I did turn off, I remember that. So, with Cassidy, I think she does have the login for just the township account, so she won't have to do it under her. And then also, I had mentioned a while back to add, this is related because it's the website, have that slider put on the website, but so that would be like giving us room for a picture and some text to have kind of like a slideshow for any announcements, or maybe we have a recycle day or something, that it can cycle through anything upcoming, including like, special meetings or something. But that would be on the top part of the homepage, but we have to contact the web company or the website design company and host to have that updated, because Cassidy can't do that because it's a new component. She can edit content, but not anything structural with the website. So I'll just make a motion for that under new business, but that's just something I would like to see too. And that's, actually that's under old business because I did mention that before. So I would actually like to make a motion to contact our website company or web design company to add that slider on our homepage so that we can have like our events or anything like upcoming on the forefront of the page.
So we wouldn't have a Facebook group then, like what I've been posting to?
That's separate than this motion. Because this is just adding an element to the website.
Okay. There's one part in this policy, I'm not sure. Employees shall not post photographs of their coworkers or any member of the general public on their personal social media sites. So, well, I'm not considered an employee, but one of our employees, what if they posted a picture of being at a birthday party of someone in the general public and they put it on their personal social media site? Okay, they can't do that unless explicitly granted by the township supervisor. I get coworkers, or any member of the general public on their personal social media sites. Maybe we need to revisit this policy too. Does that make sense to you? Anybody?
Well, you're talking about the policies and procedures, and like, I haven't had enough time to even read through all of them to comment on everything. I think we should kind of update it.
We probably should look through it, because I think that, like, per this policy, we'd have to disable that other Egelston Township board page. I mean, Sean wanted
The
to get
current
rid of
group
it.
page is not under our control.
Right, but maybe, we could ask him to, because he said through Trudy, I think that he wanted to take it down. But I don't think that we can have that, per this policy. We'd have to change the policy. Or like the Trudy Egelston, I don't think we can have that because it says Egelston. But we can change the policy, or we can change our accounts to abide by the policy. I just had to bring it up because I was made aware of it, so, we can.
We'll have to have Sean come in to, it's kind of technical to transfer an account from one entity to another. So what we can do is actually take over as an admin with our Facebook account. We can take over admin of that group page and then connect that group page to our actual organization page.
Okay,
And then we can manage it all in one place.
okay.
And that's good to do because we have he has over 1.2 thousand subscribers to
Yeah.
it. So we can keep that.
And then 14 says any information added to the official township web pages or sites must have written approval of the supervisor prior to being accessible by the general public. So does that mean everything that I've posted about grants and help with roofs and childcare exemptions
What
from the
number was
state and all that? 14.
13.
Anything like that, I would have to have all of us would have to have written approval from the supervisor anytime I wanted to post to that,
Correct,
Well,
according to that, yeah.
according to this policy.
now you see why following the policies and procedures
Oh,
is
yeah.
such a difficult chore.
Yeah, I'll be asking for asking for written approval anytime I post on there.
Okay, so
And this was 2016, so it's not that old.
does written approval include a motion that we've made, to have an announcement or anything coming up? Or can we approve all announcements and all upcoming events? Would that be the written approval that kind of covers that?
I really think we should probably just, we should have an organizational meeting and really hash out some of these things.
Okay.
Because, we can be throwing darts at each other all day long, but we're not gonna be helping our township if we're doing that. We've gotta do our best to abide by what we have, but at the same time, it's kinda hard to know. And, I don't think that Trudy knew this policy was out there when she's been posting
It
for.
wasn't in my policy procedure packet either.
Right,
Yeah, we
I
didn't
don't
have it.
understand that,
but it's here, so I just had to bring it up. We can discuss it and figure out what to do with it in the future.
do all of these other sites, can you have a moderator? Can you have moderators that approve it, like 3 of us or something?
Yeah, but it has to be a township board member. It could be a planning commission, ZBA member, or it could be an employee. So that's the limitation. We can't just have any.
Right, that's what I mean, we had 3 moderators that were on the board that could approve postings of
Yeah, but
Facebook.
well, according to this, we'd have to have written
Yeah,
approval
I don't know.
of the supervisor, which is, if you're in the office and you're like, hey, I want this announcement up, that's easier. But if you're not there, then nothing gets
Well,
posted.
I am able to answer a text usually within 5 minutes.
So that's written
Text
then.
or-
Text.
Text.
I do check my email 100 times a day, but text is the fastest if you want to get me during school.
I do like the idea of checks, that somebody can't post anything without somebody else approving it, so I really like that.
And I also would caution if we do a workshop to go over this. I attended at the MTA conference, and it was mostly discussing legal liability, that if we allow people to post and then if we block someone or someone posts inappropriately or we don't let them post anymore, we could get ourselves into big trouble. So I think we should do some investigating in that realm of if that's why we didn't allow residents to comment or post.
Yeah, I think it's gotta be completely on or completely off.
Yeah.
We can't pick and choose. So let's table that and have a workshop and talk about our social media policy. But review what we have when you have time and all your free time that you guys have.
Just also too, I put a motion on the floor for adding that slider. Did anyone want to second that?
I'll second that. To reach out to the
Yeah, to
Website
the website company.
Okay, all in favor of that? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Last order of old business committees, I put in there, the sheet. I just went through and changed all of John's names to my name, and then everything else should be the same as it was before. Those boards don't really meet, or there hasn't been a need to meet in quite a long time. So, yeah, they're pretty much all the same. The safety committee, that one, I'm not positive if that is, supposed to be on here or not, because I got mixed information. But the fire department has like their internal committee and it actually has a few other people on there.
It's two different committees.
So this would be basically the same people minus the citizen at large and whatever the other person's called. I can't think.
Item safety committee?
There's an internal fire safety committee and then there's a safety committee. So on the safety committee, it's me, Josh, who is on the internal committee, Herb and Corey. The internal committee is Alex, Josh, Corey, and myself, and Brian Fethke. Anyone else?
I think you got 'em.
Okay.
Cassidy White, DPW Administrative Assistant's been serving on the sewer committee.
That was not on the list. I had some hand notes jotted down, so I can add her on there. Well, she can add her on there because she made this.
Yes, please, thank you.
She was not on the committee. She was attending the meeting. She was not a voting member.
Okay. Maybe that's why she didn't put her on there.
That would be
I
fine.
don't know.
Yeah, the sewer committee was not on the one that she made me. I just quick added this because I knew who they were.
I would like to readdress the sewer committee at some time in the very near future as well, because there's
Okay.
only one resident on that committee.
I made a motion to include residents, and our previous board voted no, so I'd be more than happy to have one or two or many residents that would like to come.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
These people need to be on there for advisory positions for input, but voting members should be residents.
Okay. Well, we can put that on the next agenda.
We just wanted to make the comment that, so it can be dealt with in the near future.
Sure.
And when we vote, we only vote to make a recommendation to the board. None of our votes are final in any situation. We make recommendations to the board because we're an advisory committee.
All right, new business. There are food distribution sites. What?
Can we have a motion to accept these committee
Oh,
recommendations
sorry.
that you submitted?
Can I ask you a question about them?
Sure.
Which ones did you say it was on?
That safety committee,
Yep.
which,
Last page.
I mean, Mark Cleveland was on it and he's been gone for a long time, so they don't meet, but
No,
your
it's good.
name's just listed. If there ever is a meeting, I'll call you and you're gonna go.
Aren't you? So yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to accept the committee appointments as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. New business, food distribution sites. There are a couple applications on the table for the Mid-Michigan Community Action Emergency Food Assistance Commodity Program. That is in Ludington and Big Rapids, so that's why there's only two. It's a long drive, but if you have the ability to drive far and you think you might qualify,
It's not, you don't drive far.
oh,
They have distribution spots at Fellowship and,
okay. I
And
couldn't find
St.
anything
Thomas.
local.
yeah.
All right, so Fellowship in St. Thomas. I can make more copies too. There's also a little tiny handout that has all of the food pantries around Muskegon. I think there's like 6 of them on there. So if you or someone you know is in need of food, those are there too.
Could we put that on the website?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Only if the supervisor approves of it.
Approved.
Sorry. I just
Joan,
had
you
to
work
put
to
that
get
in.
these local sites
I did.
at the churches, so I want to thank you for that.
She's
Saves
been
our,
doing that for a long time.
yeah, it saves our residents
Very
from
much.
driving
Why are we on the
to
list?
Southern
I
or.
kept reading it and I'm like, why are they so far away?
It's gonna be great.
It's on the calendar, all the distribution spots and what days and what times.
Okay.
That's where.
Okay.
St. Thomas and
The next item is a solar area light. I'll just quick read this, I guess. I have you coming up on number 7, Herb, unless you want to say something about the solar light.
If anybody has any questions?
So it was, falling short of the area where it needed to shine light. So he's recommending we purchase a more robust light with high reviews. And there's a couple quotes in here. So looking for a motion, to spend the $1,227.94 for that new light.
Where's this going, Herb?
An expensive light.
I'm surprised you haven't seen it.
Oh,
We do live in Egelston, you know.
So, right here's this light.
Yeah.
It had really good intentions. This is the brightest I have seen it because we had all the sun today.
Okay.
But well, anything you get solar is gonna be not as good as electric, but I feared that this one should be about 10 foot off the ground, not 30 foot. And the ones that I have on here are a lot more robust, a lot more oomph.
And
But
they
it's the
last
one right
longer
here.
too when they're like that.
To shed light on the backside of the township when it's dark.
Why do we need a solar light?
There's no power there.
We'd have to run power.
It was for
Now-
safety and security behind the township.
Herb's okay with running a generator.
But
Okay.
so also on that, when this all came about, they wanted to kind of investigate the solar powered lights because there are places at the township like Pine Ridge, Sunset Beach that don't have power. And if this worked really good, then that's something we could use at those locations as well.
That one doesn't work good. Take a note of that.
Right. Noted.
And
It's got
he-
a short distance probably.
He
but-
does, Herb does plan to relocate that. It won't go to waste. He's gonna move it somewhere at a lower height where it will be usable.
And how long will the new one last?
Oh my
Forever?
gosh, it'll last 5+
No,
as long as
years.
the sun
it does have a 5-year
works.
warranty. As
Okay.
long as there's no
Okay.
solar eclipse for the rest of it.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the $1,227.94 for the purchase of the new solar light.
Support.
I still have a question. All right, so we have how big of an area does it light up?
It says perfect for parks, parking lots, schools, campuses, and to answer your other question, the new Life PO4 battery lasts at least 2,000 charge cycles and will last 3 nights on a 1-day charge.
That's just what I was gonna say.
Fine,
It does have a 120-degree angle out.
You don't know that.
I don't
area?
own one
For
personally.
safety, that's.
I haven't seen these, but a lot of good reviews. It's supposed to light up a lot more than what we have right now currently.
$12,000 for one light, and is it gonna even light up the whole parking lot, or is it just gonna be one corner?
Until I get it up there, I don't know.
1,200 at 12,000.
Oh, sorry, you got 1,200. That's a lot for light, I
It's the
think.
best solar light, area light on the market.
Say again,
It's the best solar area light on the market.
on the market?
Otherwise,
I think
you end up with the
I think it would be worth it just as like a try it out, and if it works somewhere else, maybe. But that's just. Other than that, I wouldn't vote for it. If we're trying it out to see if it works other places, then yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have to roll call vote to spend money, so let's roll call.
Rory,
I'm thinking.
time's up.
I do have a question. It's in the field, right?
It's right here on the corner.
Of the field?
The building.
This would be the southeast corner. This was,
Can you put a light on that side, or will it not reach that far?
I mean, if I put it on the building,
Yeah.
I think we should have them on the buildings.
we do have them on the building.
corner?
Actual electric lights, LED lights on the building and out front. They just wanted something to light up. When I say them, the previous board wanted something to light this area up.
Sure.
So
Other
they,
than around the building.
so they purchased it, they got the pole, they set the pole, a light came in, put this up, Herb. So I put it up, it wasn't bright enough, so I was told to get more quotes on something brighter. This is not my brainchild, but I'm running with it.
I feel like we could have had really bright lights around, like attached to the building to just like we could
Floodlights?
floodlight that whole field if we wanted, just from the building.
This was also done as a test for Pine Ridge and for the
Yeah,
leaf
that's why I'm-
disposal site. And there's other areas where it just isn't conducive to get electricity to it.
Yeah, that's the
Police
only
site,
reason I would
kind-
even
yeah.
consider it.
Right. And originally, we intended to use the park plan grant, which is through our liability insurance company that gives, you almost never get denied $5,000 grants twice a year. I've used them for the automatic door openers for outside the library, light, and I don't know if I did lights and fans in library. But there was a snafu with that because the previous power plant grant that we awarded, we almost didn't get. So there was some issues with that. So we weren't able to use this power plant grant for that, to do bigger, more expensive lighting.
But you're saying we could get that in the future for the
For
lighting?
safety and security
Uh-huh.
and minimize risk, that's what the liability company gives grants for. For example, they give grants for police officer cameras. I mean, they don't buy a lot of them, but if you do that twice a year for a few years, you can have those. If we wanted to secure our computer, what do you call it, the mainframe type stuff, we could build better, stronger doors or remove glass in the walls and things like that. Just about anything they approve for security and safety and to limit risk.
I think I'm okay with approving it as long as we have comments of why it's up, why we're approving it for as a test light for other locations.
Yeah, otherwise I would just put it on the building.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, we need a roll call on that.
Yep.
Ben?
Yes.
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 Yes,
Yes,
but if you're good at math, it has 120-degree beam angle, so if you could figure the height and the
Figure out the
the hypotenuse
hanger
and the base, and you'd be able to figure out how much you could.
that was good.
thing.
All right. The next
Geometry.
Yeah.
next item of business is electronic poll book. Do you want to explain?
Yes, the good old state are changing the parameters of the electronic poll books for the elections. And ours no longer meet the requirements, but they are gracious enough to pay for them, but I need the approval to spend the money and then get reimbursed. So what I'm asking for, I do have I did finally get a quote from VC3. for $2,489, but I'm not sure that that has cases, and I need these protected in cases because they go out to the polling places. So if you don't mind, the grant is up to $3,000. If I could have a motion to approve the expenditure not to exceed $3,000, it would make my life easier.
So moved.
Second.
Who seconded that?
Peggy. All right, and we'll roll call vote.
Do we have to state the company or the vendor? No, just a.
I got the,
So that means we're gonna do early in-person voting now?
no,
But we could?
no.
I love it.
You mean
Well, we
host it
could
here?
for $60,000 a year.
It's very
That's
expensive.
ludicrous. When we can share the expense with the county.
Take that.
We just
Yeah.
legally have to be able to, is that it? That's why?
Yes, we have to offer it, yeah. And we offer it through the county.
Because it's like a tenth of the price.
Brenda,
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Fire department requests. Alex, did you want to come up? So the first one,
Yeah, so
Do you
the
have the
first one is
order?
gonna be for our annual DOT inspections that we have done on our apparatus. Used to be done by our ASC certified mechanic, which we no longer have, he retired. So starting last year, we started going out and having a company come in, they come right to the station and do the inspections right there, so we didn't have to leave. My recommendation here is to approve the bid from Advantage Fleet in the amount of $745. And that will come out of the safety and annual inspection line item.
Come out of what? I didn't hear you.
Safety and annual inspection line item,
Okay.
206-340-809-600.
A motion to approve.
Support.
all right. Roll call.
Peggy,
Yes.
Ben,
Yes.
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 Next one you should have should be from MacQueen. That's going to be a preventative maintenance program that's done on our extrication equipment. To my knowledge, we've never had a service done on it. If it has been done in the past, it hasn't been logged that I can find. What this does basically is they'll come in and they'll change the fluids in our battery operated units and they will test them. Same thing with our hydraulic units. They'll go through, test those, and then they will check the shears, make sure that there's no burrs on them. They'll grind any of that stuff down and then hopefully prevent them from breaking. That one is $1,485, and that would also come out of the same line item.
So you said there's no record of that ever being done?
Not that I can find. And again, it's a recommended annual maintenance. I guess I don't know as if it needs to be done every year, but we need to start somewhere, so we're looking to get it done initially. And MacQueen is gonna be our Hearst dealer. So that's who I'd recommend going through.
How many times have you used it?
The extrication equipment? Since new?
Yeah.
I couldn't even begin to tell you.
Well,
This year alone, our battery set's probably been off the truck 6-8 times, I would guess, this past year. The hydraulic set before that, it's probably been a little bit longer, but.
I think it's probably time.
These are I don't know if they're the Hearst brand, but these are the discussion that we had about tools that we'd like to maybe, I don't wanna say replace, but have more battery versus the hydraulic ones?
That was
We're
part of the
talking about the
discussion,
same
yeah.
type of tools here.
Yep, be cutters, spreaders, rams. Basically what we would use to cut a car apart. And a multitude of other things.
I think that's a smart idea to get them tested. Make a motion to accept that. The way it's written.
Is that 1485?
1485, yes.
I thought you did, I thought I heard it for a second.
I thought I heard something too. All right, roll call?
Trudy? Yes. Peggy?
Yes.
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 Last one is gonna be for our station generator. Again, prior to my time, there's just been general maintenance like oil change, battery maintainer, changing batteries, things of that nature done. It's never been load tested and it never had an annual service done on it up until this year. A couple months ago, we come to you for approval to have that done. Out of that, this is a recommendation back from Cummins as far as replacement parts, basically going to be for coolant, hoses, clamps, things of that nature that need to be replaced because they are 10 years old, considered a wear item.
I motion to accept.
Support. Do we use this generator for water in our tank? Water?
That'll run all power at the station. Well, I shouldn't say all power, but whatever's hooked to it. So like our garage doors, power goes out and we gotta have that to get the garage doors open and be able to get out of the bays, right? Some lights, plugs, things of that nature. The necessities that we would need to be functional, operational. These repairs would, or I'm sorry, this expenditure would come out of building repairs and improvement 206-340-930-000. And there's currently $6,900 in that line item.
Okay, so are we roll calling? Yeah.
Corey?
I know Michael's clamps were expensive. Yes.
Rhonda?
Yes.
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 Thank you.
Mr. McGinty, while you're up here,
Yeah.
I see that our ISO rating is 5 out of 10. That helps homeowners with their insurance. If we have, I believe if it's a higher rating, ISO rating, then they get a lower insurance rate on their homes potentially.
Their premium, I believe, if they're within 5 miles from the station, if I'm not mistaken.
So do you know, like, what things could we improve at the fire station to improve that rating even further?
Without knowing what the rating process was last year, I won't even begin to answer that question yet. So that's something that we'll review what the last ISO rating was, and then kind of piece things together and see where we're sitting currently, if we're still sitting currently. I know we got a new truck coming in the spring, so that I'm sure will help with a little bit of that as well.
Can you look into that and kind of like maybe give a report on like, this is just, it's a new year, right? So I just want to have some goals for that in the future, just like anything we can do to help save people money and make the area safer and support our fire
And
department.
that's probably gonna be best with your next chief,
Yeah,
would be my recommendation.
well, it could
but-
also help us with the interview process. I think so.
If you research ISO ratings, I think 5 out of 10 is like the best, saying that you have good fire coverage within 5 miles. And if you're beyond that, it's like they say you don't have good fire coverage and you're like a 10 out of 10.
Oh,
You know,
if
I don't know
it's,
if
so
we'll-
10 is worse?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so we could get it lower even, and then it would be
I don't know if it'll go up to 6 or
a 4.
I mean, lower, yeah. From what I researched, it was like 5 or 10. You have good coverage or you don't, according to ISO.
If you'd like, Dave can enlighten you on a little bit more of that. He has probably more knowledge than I do with that.
Oh, cool. Is he available right now?
Sure, hand it up.
So ISO's public protection classification process, 10 is the worst, 1's the best. We're sitting at a 5. They rate that on 3 major categories. Dispatch circuits, which is 911. Water supply, which is hydrants or lack thereof.
Mm-hmm.
And then last piece is the fire department, and the fire department is sub-broke down by staffing, equipment, facilities. And a lot of that is records, training records, how much you train, documented how many personnel you're putting on the fire ground. So like a full-time person counts as a full 1. Paid on call only count for a 1/3. So your staffing is a big part of how you better that number. It's a big piece of it. But your facilities, your training records, all of those are the other major components. I think we just got the review letter back here last year. ISO typically doesn't look to come back within the last 3 to 5 years unless you make major improvements that would really change your score. In all honesty, for us to really change our score to a lower number, you're looking at a significant investment to get there.
Okay.
We're sitting pretty darn good at a 5, honestly.
Do you know what it was before?
7.
It was 7. Okay, thank you.
wow.
Yeah, I knew it was a big improvement.
Yeah, so, and that's a big change, and honestly, if you start looking at the return on investment, if you will, your insurance premiums don't drop as drastically. That 7 to a 5 for residents was a big drop. A 5 to a 4, you're talking $10-20. Where that 7 to a 5 was probably somewhere in the neighborhood, depending on your insurance carrier and your property, but that could be up to $200 to $250 in your premium drop. So it's a big process to go through, but those are the major components, and that's kind of where we're sitting. We obviously don't control the dispatch circuits per se. Water supply, it is what it is. Until we get all those little red plugs everywhere, it's tough to get better. But that's the real quick high flyover.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is response time included in the process, you think, the application?
That's part of that fire department grading. They look at your response numbers, times, but they're looking at times, but they're looking almost more at personnel. They want to see that big number of personnel arrive quickly, because it's real obvious that the more personnel is, the quicker you're able to mitigate a problem. So.
In an insurance company, this is from insurance companies, this isn't from the fire chiefs or anything like that.
Right, this is ISO, which is kind of a separate entity, and the insurance companies use the ISO ratings as a piece of their formula to determine premiums.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for asking.
All right, the next item, there's this flyer for the Michigan Association of Planning training. So this would be like planning and zoning professionals or volunteers, whatever you want to call them. So we're just looking for a motion to approve this, Joan, so that we could send. Is it required or is it just beneficial?
Any planning commission, well, we should recommend it because we need it.
So it's any planning commission.
Do we know who has completed it already? Is it required?
Training is required for
The
2 years.
okay. Of the people that are left, I don't think there's anybody that's gone to the training.
Like
And-
Ike hasn't gone?
No, he's new. I
Okay.
just relatively new.
And it is required?
The state requires the,
Not planning commission.
not planning, this is ZBA? I thought they were required to have
just-
training every
just
That's
board
just board review.
But is board review is required?
But it should be, we should
We should
require
always
Yeah.
stay
that they.
updated.
Yeah, we should
They go
require it.
to
And I'm pretty sure
I
I've
think we
taken the
should require
classes
it.
already, but I would take them again.
I think it's like $100 a person. I didn't get the order form copied, but I just saw they have the on-demand short courses. So even if we just had each person do a short course, if they didn't have the time to go for a full day, if everyone could like do something, and then they could share their knowledge, and that's only $10.
And they could pick any of these?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, because there's like 5 people on each board and then an alternate, so
They usually give you
we can
handouts
make
to
Brock
bring
go to
back. 2
because he sits on both. No, but you guys could pick and choose whatever is interesting but we need a motion to approve to use training funds to do that.
I motion to approve.
I second that.
Since we don't have a dollar amount, do we still roll call?
Yeah, just because we don't know how much it'll be, it's probably over our spend.
Okay.
We'll start with Rhonda.
Yeah.
Yes.
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 Yes. Only Brock goes to 2.
All right. Letter F, our dispute with Miles Keeped. So we heard from Miles. Now we get to talk about it.
So I was looking through the ordinances and I didn't see anything preventing a resident from having a trailer, or like a semi-trailer. I believe it's considered a vehicle and they are allowed to have an unlicensed vehicle, on the premises. It doesn't say it has to be in the back. It doesn't say anything, so.
It has to be in the backyard.
Oh, that,
Yeah, that's
okay,
it.
so it does.
So I'm not understanding, because I didn't go look yet, because I just got this information today. What kind of trailer is this? Is this like a storage trailer? What is this?
It's just an average semi-trailer. It's a shorter 40-footer. It's not a full 50.
So it's enclosed?
Yeah, absolutely. Dry box, dry van.
Okay.
Is it currently behind your building or your garage?
It will be Thursday. We've had to contract with a bigger truck to get it pushed back. But
Okay.
it's in the side yard now. It's literally a difference of 30 feet backwards movement to.
Could you come up to the microphone?
Yeah.
Please, thanks.
So
I
it's,
actually have the same issue here as well with the trailer on my property as well.
You do?
Yeah, dude, yes.
You received a letter from the township?
Yes.
I'd be willing to hear you after him.
Sure.
If it's a related issue, so.
So yeah, it's in the side yard right now. It's a difference of about 30 feet to get us behind the line. Our house is oriented lengthwise with our lot. We don't have a regular wide house, I guess you'd say. So we've got Thursday a truck coming out to push it another 30 foot back to get it fully into the rear yard, so no part is in the side yard.
And then it doesn't really matter what you use it for, so I'm not even gonna ask. So,
I wanted to ask that too. Is it for your storage? Are you using
Yeah.
it as a storage unit instead of a building? You're using that as your building for storage?
It's personal storage.
Okay.
Do you
personal.
haul it with that trailer? Do you take it places?
Is it movable?
It's movable, yeah. It was just delivered last year. We don't run it around much. We just pushed it into the woods to hold stuff, keep it out of sight, and
Sure.
avoid having to build
Great
a
idea.
$300,000
How does
pole
our
barn.
ordinance read for that one? Because
There isn't one from what I've
there's
read.
not
Well,
one.
well, we don't allow shipping containers and things like that. However, I read the state statute that you quoted, and it does describe them as a vehicle, and we can
It
have
does describe
unlicensed,
as
we
a
can have one unlicensed vehicle in the rear yard. And the rear yard is defined from sideline to sideline, and then the line across is even with the back of your house. You don't have to have it behind your house, you have to have it
behind that, right?
extended in from
Right.
between the two side lots anywhere. So you have it up here and you just wanna push it back.
Yeah, just go back
Into the
30
rear
foot.
yard.
I feel like
And then
that
you would
would.
be in compliance with our ordinance.
Right.
That's how
So
I
the
understand it.
issue that you came in contact with was that they were calling it a building or an
I'm not
accessory
even
building?
sure. There was no description. It was a letter sent that it was a semi truck at first, and then they sent another letter that it was a semi trailer. And when I called and asked Jeff for clarification, he was just offended that I didn't get back to him right away. Instead of, I said, is it the type of the trailer? What is it? And
What did Jeff read that had that as an ordinance?
the only thing he referenced was vehicle storage. And then he had highlighted, I think I attached it in the email, he highlighted something that was with use of a residential, I don't know if Benji has it or anybody has it available, but
I'm
there was
looking it up.
nothing, okay.
It's conventional use in that
Yeah,
residential zone.
yeah, there was
It
no,
lists like campers,
Right.
boats, things like that.
A semi-trailer in R1 is his citation.
Are you R1?
yeah,
You had another unlicensed car that you already dealt with and took care of, right?
Yep.
Because you're allowed one.
yeah.
in the
As
rear
soon as
yard.
we had figured out what he was attempting to allude to. We got rid of the other car and cleared everything up. But it's still, there's no outright towards a semi-trailer. We've went around with a cargo container first. And that's,
So the closing of the letter, just says that a semi-trailer cannot be on an R zoning district, but we don't, that's not an ordinance that I'm able to find, that he's able to find, so.
It was
Correct.
quoted as a customary use in that zone is where he was in violation.
yeah,
But the customary use isn't defined. And
Right.
even if it was, it's considered a vehicle by the state statute.
that's,
And you're
yeah.
allowed to have one unlicensed vehicle.
Yep, as I've read it, yeah.
So what can we do to stop this from going to court if we don't have an ordinance to complain about?
It's still not considered, I'm dumb, I'm asking this dumb. It's not considered a semi still?
No, 'cause
Now
the
it's
tractor's
considered a storage, then how is it to be licensed?
It's called
You
a
license trailers.
semi-trailer.
Yeah, you license a
They have to
trailer.
have a license plate.
Right, you have to have okay, so.
But the
So
state
that's-
is calling it a vehicle. The state
The
defines it
plate
as a
usually
vehicle.
goes on the tractor part, not the.
And the trailer.
Oh, yeah,
And the
They both
trailer,
do.
okay,
Yeah.
all right, yeah.
So that's why it's
That's
considered a vehicle, because it has to be licensed
Plated.
like a vehicle.
Mhm.
Yeah, plated.
Yeah. I think we could direct Jeff to have the attorney dismiss it. If we're involved attorney already, I don't know if they've been told of the date and time.
I would
or
assume
expected to
we got a notice to appear
We
for the
need to
13th,
notify
so.
them to dismiss it and be done with it.
And notify him as soon as possible, because that date is coming up very
Like a
quickly.
week from now, 13th, 16th,
13th.
Monday.
Oh, wow, yeah.
We don't want to waste our money or
Yeah,
cause
that's-
undue obstruction. So
Go ahead and make a motion.
I don't even know how to word this.
I don't either.
I don't.
I would
I'm
love to
not-
draft
I'm not
an
sure
email
how
to
that-
Jeff to stop court proceedings, but I don't know that,
Can he extend that until further to,
I wouldn't want to extend.
I would like to
Are
just
we in
drop.
agreement that we would want it to be dropped, all of us?
I want to drop. Yeah, I want to drop this complaint from the township. I think that it's not based on an ordinance that's
I would think
enforceable.
a call could be made to the attorney to just remove it from the docket.
That we would do that, we would be our building inspectors contact them, we can, because it's our
She
attorney.
usually answers me right away, so
Okay.
I'll just see.
Will that be all for all involved with that, with violations currently?
Is it the same ticket?
Pretty much, yeah.
Do you want to come up here and say your name?
Sure.
Is it plated, Miles?
It's not, no. It's
Not
the unlicensed.
registered, state plated,
And
it's
it
unlicensed.
doesn't have to be.
No,
Yeah.
Troy Loudon.
Troy Loudon?
I Troy.
What is your issue?
I had a violation as well for
Can you
having,
get close to the mic?
I had a violation as well for having a semi-trailer on my property. As far as I'm aware, it is behind the house. It is on the side, but it's behind the actual, like you're
The back
saying,
line of
behind
your
the house,
building.
correct?
And it's just a trailer. It's not like
Just a semi-trailer, storage trailer, same, I mean, everything that he says, basically the same thing as I, so.
So did you get a letter from us too?
Yes, I only gotten
On the
one so
first, you don't
far.
have a court date,
No, I don't have a
he hasn't
court
come
date.
and re-inspected the second
Not yet,
letter.
nope, so I just have one, but I wanted to try and come here and see what we can do about it, or.
Thanks for coming. I think we should.
I need to know what.
I see
Yeah,
multiple
that
ones
process as
around,
well.
I didn't know if there was something else,
The
going on,
building
so.
inspector is coming from the angle that the ordinance says, boats, campers, it lists, I don't know, 5 or 6 things. And, other primary or customary uses for this zone.
Okay, for R1.
So he's interpreting that, from my understanding, that a semi-trailer is not a customarily used thing in that zone, like a boat or
I
a
can
camper,
kind of see what he
a
was
residential,
trying-
it's in a residential zone.
I kind of see what he was trying to think, that you were using as a storage building. I mean, if you can have one, so can everybody.
I know.
There's 5 within walking distance of here, so.
Wow.
Some
Not that
other
I've
ones,
kept
too.
track of nothing.
Do you want to make a comment from that? John?
Yeah. What was your comment, sir?
My comment is, we worked for a year on accessory buildings, and we voted not to have metal buildings struck the semi-trailer as an accessory building. That's probably what Jeff has given the ordinance, you know, that you cannot have that.
Why?
But it isn't an accessory building, it's
Because we
a,
voted not to allow it.
it's a vehicle.
That's
It's
why.
defined by the state as a vehicle.
Yeah.
So
And
I
yours is
guess,
unlicensed too? You don't have a plate on it?
Wow.
No, it's just storage trailer.
And you should
Basically
have one.
retired, trailer that's not used for the road, basically. It's not DOT compliant.
You just have one? Do you have any
Just
other
one.
unlicensed cars?
No.
That's it?
All
Just
mine
one?
are currently
Or just
licensed.
one?
And it doesn't
In the
really,
rear yard?
it doesn't really even matter if it's commercial, does it? Because it's not a storefront.
It's not being used for it.
It could be storage for a business that's not even there. It could be
It could
anything.
be storage for a business, but it's
Yeah.
not rated for a business.
Yeah. So, do you have your actual complaint? Because I
did bring it tonight.
You didn't?
unfortunately, no. I know where it is. I could get it to you.
well, we don't need a motion to not go after people for not breaking the law. So, or the ordinance.
But we need to give direction maybe to our code enforcer that, it's consensus
yeah,
of
we
the
probably should
board to-
review the accessory building. Are you on the PC? Are you,
I was.
okay.
I mean, it does state, that you can't use storage buildings. So if there was a pod thing sitting there, I think that would be violation of our accessory building. But since they're legally defined by the state as a vehicle, it doesn't fit the accessory building.
No,
Are
it
the
doesn't.
tires still on?
Yeah.
Okay.
The board can vote to direct the citation be dropped.
I motion to direct the citation be dropped in both instances.
Well, they don't have a citation.
Oh, you don't?
I don't have a citation. I just have one violation so
The
far.
warning, and the warning be dropped, or the letter?
So,
I motion to drop the citation for Miles.
okay, and then,
But I've just got this silly vision in my head. Not that I'm against it or for it. Everybody's gonna get this now, and isn't this gonna be disgusting to our neighborhoods? This is gonna look bad and make our neighborhoods look terrible.
Then we make an
I'm
ordinance.
Well, you can't go get
I
state
would, I mean,
law.
everybody's gonna.
What if you
go
have
do
X
this and
amount
be
of property,
disgusting.
say 3 acres plus, and have it or
It's
something?
also
maybe.
behind the building.
well, another issue is, the old board voted to allow drive-by complaints instead of neighborhood complaints. So, I mean, if your neighbor was complaining because it was an eyesore, I could entertain that like a little bit more, like, oh my gosh, I have to look at this all day, every day.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd think about it.
Yeah.
But this is just driving down a road and then Jeff sees it and then writes a ticket. So I feel like we're attacking our residents instead of really looking out for the greater good. I would rather allow freedom and then entertain complaints instead of
As they
just,
come.
yeah.
Yeah, not a
So we would
drive-by.
need to, direct our, I totally agree with you. We would need to direct our code enforcer, or establish a policy that we only
So that was voted-
respond to written complaints.
That was voted,
Not him,
by the board. I have the
Yeah.
email right here.
Yep.
No.
Of course, now the internet doesn't work.
I've also had an issue when I was canvassing door to door. There was a lady who was disabled, and she had like a canopy, like it looks kind of like tent poles or whatever, and she had some tarp. It came like that. It didn't look bad at all, but it's basically like tent pegs, and it's a canopy for her car, so she can go to her car and doesn't have snow on it or anything. And she got told by the DPW that it was an accessory building.
That's the DPW.
Nothing is
Back up.
code enforcer do
Not
that.
this DPW.
Not you.
Herb, shame on you.
Well, whoever does it. Okay, so
Code enforcer?
yeah, the code
Building
enforcer, and that she had to move it to the side of her house, and she has like a ramp to go down, and like she's disabled, and she'd have to walk around her whole house basically in order to get to her car And I'm like, that's not a building, that's a tent, basically.
I thought we changed our definition when we worked on that with the PC jointly with the board. I thought we said it had to have 4 walls, I think, Joan, didn't we? Joan and I worked on that for a long time before we met with the PC.
It was
Defining what is a
it was literally
building
just like
versus just
tent
poles.
poles and canopy.
Yeah, I thought we defined it, they had to have solid walls, 4 walls.
And
We have to look at the definitions.
I think we just need to like remind the code enforcer not to go overboard. I don't know.
Maybe we should, change the policy so that we don't want him to do drive-by enforcing.
I think we just say motion, because we didn't even have a policy before, we just motion to allow him to drive around and look for things.
I'm not sure because if someone does drive by and see something off, I mean, sometimes your neighbor is pretty far away. So there's that too.
Out of sight, out of mind, kind of, you're saying?
I mean, we can continue, let them come here and like, we can hear their case one by one.
I wouldn't want to change anything without like
continue to.
thinking through it a little bit more.
Or PC, ZBA can bring us recommendations, but.
So are they considered a vehicle, or what are we, I'm a little confused.
I mean, well, the state considers it a vehicle. I read it as a vehicle, so then it just gets confusing because we're ticketing people or citing them for things that
It's
we
not
shouldn't be because the state says it's a vehicle.
It specifically makes an allowance for it. I mean, the state doesn't consider it an accessory unit. So even if we call it an accessory unit, the state doesn't consider it one. It considers it a vehicle and it allows it. So that's conflicting with the state law right there.
I guess it comes down to, does this board want to allow our code enforcer to drive around and go back and send letters to things he saw? Or do we want to be complaint driven? I went to a planning commission training early on in my tenure, and the attorney said it's so expensive, and it is. It's very expensive for us to get to the court stage and at court and pay our attorney and all the letters, because one of the last letters has to be attorney sent. And they said just be complaint driven. But our previous board didn't agree to do that. I mean, it wasn't a 7-0 vote, but.
Proactively looking for infractions.
Yeah. So we have to decide, do we want to direct him not to do that? The last board didn't want to do that. They
I
wanted
think
to
there's a
allow
difference between a drive-by of someone else and a drive-by of us basically hunting down infractions.
Yeah, I look at it as if your neighbors and people drive on your road, don't bother them, then it's not a problem. If someone doesn't complain about it, it must not be a big issue that we want to spend $10,000, whatever it is, $7,000 to pursue it.
Do we want to hire someone looking for problems?
But some of the residents, want our township to be clean and not have that, trash and rubbish and unlicensed.
But anyone can complain. So if they want it to be clean and they have a complaint, it's kind of up to them.
Yeah.
They're just gonna continue complaining until it goes and goes and goes. So if they don't see something being done within that person's time frame, then they're gonna put another complaint in. Then if that time goes, because we say here it's okay for me to have it, they may not know that, then they put another complaint in, now we're just getting more complaints in, and then now it's looking.
Jeff would have to respond to them and say, we investigated it, it's not an issue.
Okay.
I don't know how much detail he would say, it's licensed by the state as a vehicle,
Sure.
and then
Well, yeah,
they
where's the
wouldn't have
point
to
where they're gonna stop
pursue
if it is the same person complaining about it for that,
Yeah. You'd have to
We're not really supposed to have like a back and forth so much, but I know that we were talking with you about the same issue.
So do we need a motion or something? We did make a motion to.
We have a motion on the floor.
Thank you.
Can you
Direct the citation to be
reread the
dropped.
motion? Oh, thank you. Sorry.
You made the motion.
I know, but I wanted, because it's been some time.
So let's finish with Miles' complaint, first. We're dropping that motion,
Need a support.
I support it.
do we do all in favor or roll call?
Let's do a roll call just to be safe.
Okay.
Trudy.
Yes.
Peggy.
I'm not understanding.
We're dropping the citations, so this gentleman isn't being taken to court for his semi-trailer, which is considered a vehicle by the state of Michigan.
Yes.
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 Yes. What's the date on your letter?
Mine was December 10th.
Okay. And what's the next step?
Basically, I was just told to remove it by X.
Just 2 weeks, and then Jeff will reevaluate, and if it's still there, he'll send in a second letter.
Correct.
Okay, so then would need a motion to ask Jeff to stop,
To close the case.
to close the case and not consider a semi-trailer to be an accessory building because by state law it's not.
So moved.
Awesome.
Second.
Let's roll call that.
You're killing me. Who supported that?
Me.
Peggy?
Yes.
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 All right. Next order of business, communications from the DPW.
I'm gonna try to keep this quick and simple for you.
Speed read.
I just want to read this out loud so anybody new can kind of get an understanding when we get a sewer complaint or someone may have sewer backing up into their house. So December 16th, 2024, I received a phone call to the home of 5738 Apple Avenue. When I receive these calls, I immediately locate sewer manholes on either side of the home's lateral or property, pull the manhole covers, inspect our main sewer line for proper flow, no foreign objects in the line. On this particular call, the lines were not backing up, but there was a substantial root mass in the manhole that would need to be removed. I did call the township supervisor, and I also alerted the township clerk to the situation. It was an emergency situation, had to be taken care of immediately. And when I had done that, then I called Plumbers Environmental. They're out of Byron Center. That's who we call for all of our sewer emergencies. They came, they cleaned out the root mass in question, and then they cleaned all the lines from that towards the east to the end of the line, and then back towards the west to Wolf Lake Road. The last manhole that we uncovered was another root mass that needed to be removed, but they had to enter that manhole, and they pulled out a whole carpet, probably as large as this table, of a root mass. By doing that, they found out where the roots were coming from. It was the dead head of the line, so we plugged that so no more roots could get in there, and then they plugged and sealed the other side. So when we do find these problems, we don't just take the problem out, we actually solve the problem and move forward. I did attach the invoices for this emergency action. Side note, the home that initially called, they still had to call a private plumber because the problem was in their lateral between our line and their home. But we were fortunate that the township was not to blame, and also fortunate that we found a potential issue that was taken care of before it became worse.
So that root was not the cause of their...
It was not, but I don't know. I didn't know at the time, so we have to pull those roots out immediately just so we don't back up any other homes. I mean, that root mass was... When that one came out, it was about as long as this table, but the far mass was thick, and it was like a whole carpet of roots.
And there were cracks, right?
In that particular spot, yes.
To repair.
And we repaired them.
Didn't grow back in.
Exactly.
I had that issue at my house.
Yes, exactly. And then, of course, I keep in contact with that homeowner. I let her know what's going on. And basically, when I find out that our line is perfectly running good, then I give her recommendations of different plumbers who I feel are legit to call.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
How often do they inspect the lines like this?
We just inspected them with a SAW grant. Every line we had inspected and cameraed. And then any difficulties or any errors that we found, them were all repaired. And that's probably been in the last 4 years.
So this grew in the last 4 years. It's crazy.
When those roots find water, they take right off. And
just a quick note, a lot of sewer laterals back in the day, 70s, 80s, it was a round rubber donut instead of a fern coal. So when that pipe rolled in, it rolled that donut in, but it still leaked. And all the roots would go to these donuts and just wrap it around like an anaconda until it crushed the line. They no longer use those, but we have found a lot of those that we've taken care of a lot of them in the township, but usually they're right at the homeowner's expense because it's at their lateral. They no longer make those. My point is any moisture at all, roots are gonna find it in that line.
I want to thank you, Herb, for knowing what to do and always being proactive and communicating to the board.
Hey, no problem. That's what I'm here for. Any questions at all, let me know.
Absolutely,
Thanks,
thank you.
Herb.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm still worried about that light though, Herb.
Me too.
Not gonna sleep tonight.
Next communication is about the County Road Commission training. If any of you are interested, there's a flyer, January 22nd at 9 a.m. There's no cost listed. I believe it's free. But if you want to learn about the Road Commission funding, projects, transportation billing, service requests, all the rest, you are welcome to register. There's an email or a phone number there.
I've already registered. I hope other people want to set up my table.
I noticed we have our PINS officers here. Would we have an opportunity to hear from them? Any updates, if they had any?
Maybe communications?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that at communications. We'll give you some time to wake up.
You're not doing it.
All right, so can I have a motion to pay the bills?
So moved.
Support.
All right, roll call?
Corey, a second.
Yes. There was a lot.
Ben?
Yes.
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 Peggy?
Yes.
All right, communications, planning commission meets tomorrow. Sewer committee, we had a report last time, there's nothing new.
We meet on this Wednesday.
Okay. Board of trustees, we don't have any reports, I don't think. All right. PINS officers.
Good evening, Deputy Durr. I haven't met any.
Could you step up to the microphone, please?
I'll take this out.
A little short here. I'm Deputy Durr with the Sheriff's Office. Been with you guys for a little over a year and a half. I only met a couple of the new people here. So basically just the supervisor actually. So we try to update you guys once a month on our stats, what we do in the township based on traffic stops, residential checks, business checks, things like that. It's me and my partner, Deputy Diaz. It's actually not the guy that's over there. He's one of our new guys. Yeah, if you ever have questions for us, we're more than available. We try to stop in once a week, have a conversation with everybody, see if there's anything we could help you out with, anything we can do, or anything we can look into for you. I know I've looked into a couple things for Trudy. So if you guys have questions for us, go ahead and shoot them at me. I'll try to answer them best I can, okay? So, do you have any questions now?
Give the new folks where they can get the reports.
So the reports get emailed to the township supervisor once a month, and then she can get them out to you guys.
I do have them from last month if anyone wants them. I can forward that or download it and send it on or whatever.
I want to say the last month we got the report from since August 1st. We took between us and fire, we took 20 or 3,400 calls, just over that.
In 1 month?
No, just since August 1st. So go back to August 1st. 3,400 calls. We took from the sheriff's office, between the sheriff's office and the state police, 2,400 of those calls were law enforcement related. And then just me and Diaz and the other, just the sheriff's office basically, we took 1,806 of those calls. So 1,806 calls since August 1st.
Our PINS officers did.
Our PINS officers, which is a lot.
Not Michigan State Police, not other sheriffs.
Not Michigan State Police. They took 609.
Wow.
So we are pretty busy between me and him and the deputies who come into this township. Yeah.
Could you tell us what the top 3 issues are?
It ranges so far, I really couldn't give you a specific answer on what the top 3 things are. During the day, you're going to get a lot of civil complaints, a lot of domestic disputes, husband and wife arguments, things like that. You'll get in some random vehicle inspections in there, but that's not too often. And then at night, you're moving to the more serious domestics, vehicle B&Es, stolen cars, things like that. It just depends on what's going on at that time. I really can't get into what the top 3 things are that we deal with. But on those stats that you get, you'll see them every call that we get to and what type of call. You'll even see when I make a traffic stop in this township.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
One of the reports is titled monthly property check. So is that like when they're on vacation, or is that just like you're checking because you had a complaint, or both? I
Both.
can't open it right now.
So if I take a complaint for a property check, like, hey, someone says like, hey, I think that door's open, I'll mark it down as a property check.
Okay.
If the building's broken into, now that's B&E, that's something different. It won't go on there as a property check. But
Okay.
every night, me and my partner, my counterpart, when I'm not working, he's working, right? We're searching those buildings or going around checking doors. I know we had an issue at the church here a while back about us checking the doors and setting the alarm off. But that's our job. Our job is that we give to this community is we go to these businesses and we check those buildings, make sure they're not open so someone doesn't get into it. I know Wet Wolf Car Wash here, they have people going through their trash cans, things like that. We stop those things like that from happening. It's our job to make sure that we're giving the best service to the community that we can, right? And property checks is part of that. If you go on vacation, you can call the sheriff's office and say, hey, I'll be on vacation from this time to this time. We check your house for you. We check your doors. We check your windows and make sure it's secure. And it's while we have free time during our patrol.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Public comment.
Good evening. My name is David Colville. I understand that the township is using senior millage money to pay for senior transport with a local transport company. My question is does the township have proof of liability insurance for that transport company?
Yes.
They do. It's been provided to the.
Yes.
And has the attorney reviewed it?
I will give you, no,
Okay.
I will give you that information. I didn't get back to it. I read your email, but I just didn't, it was crazy this
Okay.
afternoon.
I was here tonight anyway, so yeah, if you would let me know.
I will.
Okay. Do you intend to have the attorney review it, or are you satisfied it doesn't need to be reviewed?
I didn't.
I mean, I'm concerned about the coverage, obviously, and the language.
Like if it's sufficient coverage?
It's sufficient coverage, if it's indemnification coverage, what the coverage is. The township obviously is on the hook as the deep pocket if something should happen, because the company is acting as an agent for the township. So I'm just concerned that we be sure that we look at it completely from all angles, because we've had
Send it to her and
trouble
have her
before.
review it, yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Don Dark, 355 Chatterson Road. I just can't understand why you're voting on something. Why didn't you have the building inspector here? All you gotta do is ask Jeff Ream and he would be here. And he would be able to explain all this. But yet you vote behind his back. His job is to enforce the township ordinances. And he drives around. And for you to say, maybe we'll have him not look for problems, like somebody adding on to their house, putting fences out to the road, putting accessory buildings in their front yard. For you to say, I know you're new, but for you to say, maybe we can ask him not to stop catching people doing things wrong. That's just crazy. And you're just as bad. Sitting there and saying, oh, we don't want to pick on the township residents. They got to follow the ordinances. That's what they're for. Get your head out of your butt. Thank you.
That is not acceptable communication. You will be removed if you speak like that again.
Oh, sit down.
We do have to be respectful to the board. There is a notice that John posted right here, so he's a Democrat and he posted that. You can come read it. You have to be kind. You can't say that. That's not okay.
I'm just here, Deb Ackerman, 1241 Woodcrest. Don has a good point and a valid point. You have ordinances on the books before situations happen or before anything takes place. Planning Commission and everybody involved spends hours and hours and hours on these. And when you have something that's been voted on and it's an ordinance, you have to follow the ordinance. You can't just pick and choose who you approve and who you don't approve. Because I'm going to tell you what, you got a board member up there right now that's in violation of an ordinance. And it pertains to these big storage pods in their property. Maybe you guys need to focus on that. Nobody wants to touch a board member. I just want to bring it to your attention so you all know. And I think it's ludicrous that you guys vote on something that, oh, it's okay. All right, what happens if I come in tomorrow and my neighbor brings in a semi and puts it in his yard, in his backyard, and he's going to use it for storage? Is that going to be okay because, or it's not going to be okay because I live in a subdivision and I'm only on 100-foot lots, but it's okay for somebody else that lives in a different area of the township? You can't pick and choose how you enforce an ordinance. It's looked at for a reason, and a lot of hours and a lot of time goes into it. Just like he was saying for sheds. It's ludicrous to have a shed in your front yard. Now, if somebody lived out in the country, further out, and they have 20 acres, it's not a big to-do, right? But you live in a subdivision or you live in a 100-foot lot, I mean, you wouldn't like that. You wouldn't like to see a shed in your front yard and then it distracts your view or whatever, or cosmetics of your property or so forth. So you might want to be careful on what you're picking and choosing to vote on and what you're going against your ordinance enforcement. And personally, I want enforcement. I pay enough taxes in this township and I want enforcement, because if you don't have enforcement, residents will just do whatever they want to do. And now you've set a precedence, and watch out, because they're all going to come through this door, and every ticket and everything Jeff writes up, they're going to come to you and say, oh, well, you did it for him. You can't do it for me? I'm not going to say it's the same situation. It could be a different ordinance.
That's
Just
3 minutes.
Just be careful.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other public comment?
Good evening, Brett Herman, 11385 Sherman, Ravenna Township. I'm the newly elected county commissioner. I'm just here to introduce myself. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks.
Is there anyone else? Board comments.
I have one.
Go ahead, Joan.
Find the time, just a minute. I've had to respond to 4 alarms this week alone at various times of day and night. We have to do something about retraining people, or most of them have been the library. One was Jeff. I think I told Jeff what his issue was, and that shouldn't be an issue again, I hope. But I don't know how this became my job, but I'm tired of answering alarm calls. I don't know what I'm supposed to do if somebody's actually breaking in anyway. I'm running.
You know, at my former employers, there were people that would have the code, like at a school, there were a few people that had the code, each dean. So if I would trip an alarm, I would call my dean and let them know. And then whoever was on call, they would talk to me and realize, like, are you safe? You know, we'd have a conversation and then they could give the clearance. At a church I worked at where we had codes, we all had our clearance code to give if we tripped the alarm. So we could think about that, like, do we want every person to have their own code and then they can clear it if they accidentally, you know, like I just told her, I'm like, hey, I'm probably gonna set the alarm off again, just so you know. I don't know how to use this thing.
At minimum, somebody at the library needs to know what the all clear code is, because most of them are happening from over there.
Do you know, have you or Diaz been coming this over the weekend?
I don't know if he came over the weekend. I did come one time with
That was
Joan
late
out.
at night.
Yep, it was very late at night. I know most people, or most businesses, or their procedure is they have a set number of people who have the code who can be called out if one person doesn't answer. And that usually works best. We can't have it at the sheriff's office because it's a liability for us to turn it off and then someone breaks in after we leave. So the deputies couldn't do that while we're here, but we have to meet a key holder per se, someone with the code out here to turn it off.
Like the other day I was really sick, and Joan wasn't able to come right away, so I called the fire station and asked them to look outside and just tell me if they recognized the vehicle, so at least we knew, like, should we just have 911 come, or should we call our code in, or, I don't even know if we can call our code in or how that works.
Yeah, you can give them the code and they'll shut it off at the alarm company. That's what I actually did Sunday afternoon, because I knew it was 5 to 1 and the library was coming in. And I had just answered one on Saturday.
Yeah, so we're gonna come no matter what. In our situation, we're always gonna come and check it out no matter what.
Unless we call and cancel it before you get the
Unless you
call.
call and cancel and give the proper code. If you give the wrong code one time, we're gonna come in either way.
Okay.
Yep.
So when the system detects a breach, the third party is notified, and then they contact the police and they contact Novotny, and Novotny.
They contact whoever has the code, whoever you put on their list of codes.
Yes, contact person.
They contact them. When you give a wrong code to turn off the alarm, they call us no matter what.
Who contacts them?
Whoever your third
The
party
third party
is. Whoever
or
your third party is.
Novotny?
Whoever your security company is will contact whoever's on the list. So say it's Joan, if they call her and she gives the wrong code for whatever reason, they're gonna contact us to come out there.
And Novotny calls you off?
Yeah, they'll call our dispatch and dispatch will send us out here.
That's not how I understood it. I thought we had, Novotny's not the one, it's a third party that
It is out of
monitors it.
Chicago.
Yeah, whoever you guys, your
And
security
they
company is
notify
that's calling
911,
us.
and do they notify Novotny, or are they the one that calls you, Joe?
Well, if I give them a code, if that company calls and I'm here in the office, I answer the office phone and then I tell them my code and then they can turn it off.
Yeah.
But they can't turn off the physical thing out there. Then you have to walk to the pad and turn it off.
Right.
Yeah. Because that was my confusion the first couple of times. I thought I was cleared because I gave them the clearance code and then the thing was still beeping. And if I didn't turn it off, 15 minutes later, doing it again. But if it's an outside breach, then that would.
Yeah, if it's like an outside breach or glass break or something with the door, we're gonna come anyway.
Even if you pull it?
Well, probably. Yeah.
So
It's a good security system, that's my opinion.
I'm
You pay
good
us
to
do
give
it.
the librarian the clearance code for when they trip up the alarm, they can clear it themselves.
And that would mean anyone that's coming to work for the library, sometimes there are guests. I personally don't have a problem with the guest people, you know, like people that just cover different libraries around the Maddle.
I think at least the three main
It's
ones
not always
need
a
it.
full-time worker, I mean, it's not a regular
Yeah, then
worker
they
sometimes.
can call them or however they
Yeah.
wanna handle it. I'm
Those
tired
three
of this.
employees that are always here need to have it.
4 and 5 days is too much.
Yes.
So those three main ones, we're talking Chad, Wendy, and Andy.
Yes.
And then if someone has an issue, say there's a guest librarian, and they set it off, they can call Chad or Andy and they'll
Yeah.
give them that number.
I mean, I think that would be
Anyways.
rare enough where if Joan or I had
Yeah.
to take the call, it'd be fine.
Especially maybe Joan, if you want Navani to come out and train them again and tell them more of what they need to know.
I can train them. I know how now. I'll train them. I'll
Okay.
save the money.
Yeah, because Wendy has come over and said the button to open the doors wants to be turned
Yeah.
off too, so remind them of that, please. I have a board comment. We had our fall cleanup and I myself didn't even understand the magnitude that Bulldog Dumpsters does to benefit our community. Bulldog Dumpsters discounts a 40-yard dumpster $325 that they're taking off of the cost. And 30-yard dumpsters $295 and $5 off per tonnage that they have to pay to the county. We had 17 40-yard dumpsters that residents brought their cleanup and 2 30 yards, and our tonnage was almost 40. So the bill that they sent us was $3,500, but it's amazing how much money that they don't charge us and provide a service to our community. So I did give them a call and talk to their secretary and thank them immensely.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah. I have another board comment. I think the residents and the board deserve to know the truth. I have the minutes from the August 19th board meeting. When things are stated as facts and there's evidence that they're not, I'm always going to bring the information, especially when my credibility is at stake. At the special meeting on December 21st, I stated that the board voted not to hire one of the applicants for the fire chief position. Another board member stated that that's not true. Well, it absolutely was true. It is true. There's the minutes of the board meeting. Joan made the motion and the motion failed. It's the very bottom one. So, I was telling the truth. Joan also stated that the board decided that applicants could reapply, and that absolutely is a true statement. I totally agree with it. The board should not limit how many or who can apply to any position at Egelston Township. But I wanted the truth to be known for the record. What I stated was true.
I have a board comment.
Okay.
All right, so we have a master plan. I think we've been working on it for 5 years and it's still not completed. And also our ordinances, I had to look at the state website to find one that was somewhat recent. I don't even know what the most updated ordinance book is.
They're being codified right now. We should have them back anytime. We gotta work with what we got till we get those back.
Roger. And you said anytime they're coming back?
I'm hoping.
Okay. So that is gonna be helpful with enforcing our ordinances. So the issue we had was not whether we wanted to enforce an ordinance or not. It was that we didn't have an ordinance that pertained to the situation. It was assumed or interpreted beyond anything written. So that's why we could not enforce it, and to litigate that, it just costs the township unnecessary money. And it's not fair to residents who believe they're following the ordinances and the law, and they don't, and it seems arbitrary, in fact, to enforce that, because it's up to someone's, essentially their opinion. And that's not the way ordinances are supposed to be. So, and additionally, the state law actually gives an allowance for that trailer and counts it as a vehicle. So it's not that we're just picking and choosing ordinances. I mean, there's a specific allowance by the state, and we need to have an ordinance. If we want it, I mean, maybe we don't want semi-trucks in everyone's yard, but we need to tell them first before we bring them to court. It's just not fair. So, we can't really enforce a law that isn't written.
Yeah, I had a same comment, so thank you, Benj, for saying that so eloquently. I do appreciate you guys sharing your hearts with us. I know I'm not going to agree with every resident that lives out here. I'm not going to make everybody happy all the time. But I was elected to do a job, and I'm trying to do that. And when I read it and like Ben said, it's ambiguous and the state law says that it's a vehicle. Our ordinance is not against vehicles, so I do believe that we upheld the ordinance. And I did actually speak with Jeff Ream face to face, emails back and forth. Him and Cassidy and I talked over it. He didn't really have direction for me to go. He just kind of gave it to me and said, "You're the supervisor, decide." And so I made my decision here tonight. We don't believe that the law is written clear enough. So if we want to change our ordinances, that would be something we'd have to do. But the state law says that that's a vehicle. So that's why there won't be a ticket and we won't follow up with the citation, because it's not a violation of the ordinance as it is written today. Any other board comment?
I just need to rebut Trudy's statement. We did not, the motion was not to not hire Alex McGinnity. I made the motion to hire Alex McGinnity, seconded by Trustee Hartman, and the motion failed. That's a whole lot different than voting to not hire him.
Did we vote to hire him?
No, the motion was
The
to.
motion failed.
The motion failed. The motion was to hire him, but the motion failed.
So we can't say the motion, just the board decided not to hire him.
Well, if the motion failed, then
we didn't hire him.
Can't do it.
It failed 3-3, yeah.
Exactly.
Your tiebreaker was absent or abstained?
Absent.
Can't abstain.
Absent.
Dave Cobell has left. I'm happy that he questioned about our agreement with, well, actually, we don't have a contract with Rolling with Shelley to provide transportation. We started in June. I asked others to reach out to our liability insurance, and they didn't, so I did. I do have permission from our board to do that. And Chris Ironsource suggested that we be added as additional insured, that we have a contract, and that the riders are signing waivers because we'll be at risk and the liability is there. The reason I reached out again is because the board had discussed possibly using a snowplow person for seniors, and I wondered if we should have their insurance and be added as additional insured. And I have emails from Chris that I'll be asking Amanda to put this on the next agenda, and we can take it from there.
So we currently don't have a snowplow service for seniors?
Yes, we do.
The county does.
The county.
Egelston doesn't use our.
No, you don't have one personally,
No.
but we do have one for seniors for the area. It's Living Word Church, does it for the senior millage.
That's my church.
Oh.
Yep, so they are the ones who call, you have to get on the list. There is an application that each person 60 and older has to fill out and meet the criteria. I would have brought the criteria with me today, but I didn't know that question would come up. But I can bring that criteria to the board. So there is one, but we don't have one personally, but we do have one out there that does my area, this area.
They do countywide.
Yes.
So
yes.
it's
But-
covered.
But you do have to fill out their application and meet their criteria and understand they've got the rules, what to expect. So they do have papers that go to us what to expect.
If we don't have that on our website in a resource area, could we add that? I'm asking our supervisor.
I guess I would probably call Pastor Cross real quick and ask, do they have the capacity if we advertise it?
They fill
It all
up so
gets
fast.
advertised through 911 or 211, and if we, they're gonna get inundated.
We would like to have, and it would be nice if we could have another outfit out there
If they're gonna
working
get
for
inundated.
us. And of course, you'd have to apply for the
grant.
But it's possible.
That is so helpful
Definitely
because
possible.
slipping and falling and all that is just really big hazard.
Well, we don't have to apply for a grant. We have senior millage money that we could.
Well, there's
determine
only
what to
so
use it
much
for.
senior millage money.
But
and
we
have
had
to budget
$111,000 before we bought some smoke detectors, and I would venture to say we save around $100,000 in our own fund. That's not a grant. That's why we've been trying to discuss how we could spend that money and help seniors, and snow plowing came up. I wish we would have a
Let's-
workshop or a
I
committee
would like to add that to the
We're
next
going to get
agenda.
another 30-some thousand shortly here, I think, when it comes again. And it's been 5 years that we've accumulated this money, and that's why we were discussing maybe offering snow plowing with our money that's in our bank account right now.
This company, as you know, the crosses also do mowing. So it's not just snow blowing.
Yep, and
It is
leaves,
also,
leaves.
they do not do leaves of this particular.
We have a line item for $10,000 for, I think, snow
That is definitely
repairs, and we
awesome.
haven't been spending it. That's still my concern.
That's like one of the things, like, it's just so difficult to help, first of all, to find someone to help a senior, and you don't, a lot of times people don't know to ask, or things get neglected. I just think it's just helpful for everybody. You don't want, seniors that are not able to, like, slip and fall or try to shovel or mow their lawn. It's like really a hardship for a lot of people. And we don't have senior housing, so everyone has to maintain their own yard. I think that's really good money well spent, and I think we should add it on to the next meeting
And
agenda.
I will also make in point, I am on the senior millage, and so I will start making that monthly report. If you guys would like to know
Awesome.
what's
I love
happening
that.
in a monthly report,
Yeah.
I could do that for us, if all interested.
Cool.
Let me explain, there's two pots of money here. There's the pot through senior resources that you have to apply for a grant for a particular service, or many of these things that we've talked about, the home repairs and stuff, they already have people that have grants for that. We don't want to duplicate service, we want to enhance what services are available. So I'm all for having a workshop to discern what there is available already. DTE offers free furnaces to income qualified people. Why would we want to pay for a new furnace for somebody? There's already a program for that. Let's enhance the programs that are available.
And also, is all that information available, like, if we could have maybe one page on a website that's all resources for seniors and where they can find them all, what's all available?
211.
Yeah, everything is 211, you can get a lot of info.
I never call 211, but yeah.
I've
You're not a
accumulated, I've accumulated 2 pages of places that help people: City Boys, Salvation Army, the
Love
state
Incorporated.
warmth fund, all sorts of things. But some are senior millage money, like transportation. They offer that too. I've been posting that on our Facebook page. I've been printing them out and giving them to people. Mid Michigan does lots of things. I've told you before, we have 20 homes that may be in foreclosure in April. I mailed them to them, and I mailed it to all 20. 4 people got help from Mid Michigan. We're able to apply for a poverty exemption. Probably I'm hoping that they'll get help with some of their taxes and then be exempt from them with poverty exemption and not lose their homes. So there's a lot out there, but it just troubles me that we're sitting on this money that's supposed to be for helping people and we haven't used it.
But we have to make sure that we can help the most. We can't do 2 roofs and blow through that $100,000, and then there's other people that need help and we have to say, whoops.
We're
We
gonna help the
can't
most people.
duplicate services that are already available.
Totally agree, but we haven't done anything for 5 years except smoke
We
detectors.
add stuff every year. We don't know how it's gonna
What did we add last year?
fare out. Last year we added the transportation.
Okay, the year before that, all we've done since I've been here is lock back to smoke detectors, which are great things, don't get me wrong. Then we should be spending that money.
And we're blowing through it now that, It's
I'll-
getting responded to.
I'll bring the amount to the board at the next meeting that we have left in that fund.
Yeah, we can do a workshop and get it spent.
Yep, thank you.
I did think of one other thing. So we have a streetlight millage, and I went to my dad's, and it was really dark. The streetlight was out, and I was like, "Man, this is annoying." And I mentioned it to Joan, and she was like, "Oh, you can report it," and it was so easy. So if anyone notices a streetlight out, they already fixed it within like 2 days. You just go on Consumer's website, and the light's already working.
And we do still pay for it, whether it's on or off.
Yeah, we're
or
paying
out,
for it anyway, so might as well make them work.
Cool.
John used to get online like you did and help residents if they didn't want to. I'm happy to do that too.
How do you report it?
It's just there's like a tab for outage, and then in streetlight,
Go
and
online.
you can actually find it on the map. You don't even need the address.
Where do you?
Consumersenergy.com.
Oh, okay.
It was really quick. It took like 2 minutes, and I got an email the next day. And I haven't gone to my dad's to see, was it on tonight? Did you notice?
I didn't go over there.
But yeah, pretty cool. All right. Anyone want to make a motion to adjourn?
I will make that motion to adjourn.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Meeting adjourned.